What's like the highest deal you've seen in your company?
I can't remember the exact amount, but I want to say
30 to 45 mil.
Some foreigners in Japan are making $700,000 to $1 million US a year. But how do you get a high-paying job here? Nobody knows the answer better than the people that hire you. So today we're asking Japan's top performing recruiters how to get a high-paying job. What's your name, where you're from, and how long have you been in Japan for?
So my name is Stephanie. I'm originally from Australia, but I've been living in Japan for almost 5 years now.
My name is Rebecca Savage. I'm from a place in England called Warrington, in between Manchester and Liverpool, right in the middle, and I've been in Japan for 3 years.
My name is Josh. I've been living in Japan for 5.5 years, and I'm originally from the US.
My name is Deontay. I've been in Japan for about 20 years total now.
My name is Hanbin Gao, and I was born and raised in China, and this is actually my 6th year in Japan.
How many years of experience do you have working as a recruiter in Japan?
About a year and a half.
About 2.5 years.
I've been a recruiter for the past 5.5 years.
I've been here for total 4 years now.
I joined recruitment, I think, 2 years ago.
Why did you get into recruiting?
I can only do 2 jobs here. It's either English teaching or recruiting. I tried the English teaching, that was an absolute failure.
You didn't like it?
Awful. I can't speak Japanese, and when the kids are all like, la la, and I'm like, be quiet. They don't know what I'm saying, so it wasn't for me.
Long story short, there's a thing called Boston Career Forum. A lot of new grads can sign up for it after they graduate, and I signed up for it, and the only jobs that didn't require Japanese were recruitment firms. So I had no idea what it was, but I ended up signing up, and then I got on a plane here and started January 2019 as a recruiter.
To go to Boston Career Forum, I thought you had to be able to speak both Japanese and English.
Actually, you don't.
You don't?
Yeah,
Okay.
Just English is fine.
So what industry can you get paid the most here in Japan?
I would say healthcare.
It's recession-proof, basically. No matter what happens, you always need healthcare, you always need the latest technology to fight diseases, so you can do well through any market or through any times with healthcare.
And maybe fintech and IT industry.
I think tech and maybe business consulting firms, I think they pay the most.
You hear that the salary in Japan is pretty low relative to Western countries. How can someone get a high-paying job here in Japan?
I would say definitely, especially with the yen right now, I think it's not looking too good for a lot of Japanese companies. But to find a good, I guess, paying job, I think one, language does matter.
Obviously, language.
Learn Japanese. My Japanese is so bad. I think I got really lucky.
When I was job hunting in Japan, even I struggled to find a job since I didn't speak business level Japanese. But I got lucky and was able to learn through my friends and family, but not a lot of people have the resources like I did. Especially since a lot of apps have basic and outdated lesson plans, which means you're taught oversimplified Japanese through a difficult and unpersonalized experience. That means you'll never really get a chance to really practice your skills. But with the Preply app, you can get a personalized experience where you'll be matched with a one-on-one tutor that caters to your exact needs. That means Preply can help you learn the vocabulary and grammar for the specific industry that you want to work in, helping you ace those interviews. These personalized sessions will have you practice reading, writing, and most importantly, speaking at a pace that will get you to where you want to be. Preply has over 30,000 qualified tutors ranging over 180 nationalities, so you're guaranteed to find someone that's right for you, making your experience a lot easier, enjoyable, and effective. And with over 1 million current users, the results are literally speaking for themselves. So if you're looking at getting a high-paying job in Japan and need to learn Japanese, download Preply today to get 50% off your first class in the description below.
I think if you're coming to Japan, you should be able to have like maybe business level Japanese for some roles.
Okay.
But I think more for like IT tech companies, you might not need that so much. But if you could speak
Japanese, English, you're really good to go. If you have one more language,
there's a higher chance you could kind of climb the ladder and become manager roles or like specialist roles as well.
Of course, compared to like the US, people do make a lot more. In Japan, you can find those positions, but it's very niche. A lot of the time, it's either finance related or tech related, maybe strategy or consulting related.
we do have a market for non-Japanese speakers. However, you do need to realize the main market in Japan is actually targeting Japanese audience. And your day-to-day work will be 60% Japanese, 40% English. So I think business level of Japanese will be really important.
But you also see it as people not being able to speak English and still being able to get a high-paying job.
Right.
So how are they able to do that?
Yeah, that's a good question. But I think, it's really having a specialty in that role, right?
Experts in their skills, like to a point where they're leaders in their industry.
For example, if you're a marketing person, if you're an engineer, just being able to specialize in that, I think kind of goes beyond just the language part as well too. And also having like people management skills, I think that really brings up the salary as well too.
And if you want to move to the next stage of people management, you get a bump in your salary.
So if you're able to, talk to people manage a team, I think that definitely helps you out to kind of raise the salary too.
So do you have to be in Japan in order to get a job?
That's actually ideal. That's preferred. But there are companies who's willing to sponsor your visa for working in Japan. And also there are recruitment agencies who would provide you visa sponsorship.
Since you've been recruiting for 5 years, I'm sure you've seen a lot of high-performing deals. What would you say is like the biggest deals you've seen?
The highest one personally that I've seen when I was at a recruitment company was 20 million.
That's
but
a
the
lot.
highest I've also heard is 35 million.
What was the
Money.
position?
The head of APAC for a software sales company.
I don't even know, like at least 400,000 USD?
400,000 USD.
Yeah.
What kind of position would that
Like
be?
very senior, yeah.
Okay.
It ranges differently, but probably between 30 to 45 mil-ish. It would be general manager of FMCG industry. But
Right.
for IT, I'm sure you can probably get higher than that.
Higher.
There is a chance. Everything is possible. Everything is negotiable.
Right.
Really famous Japanese company. I think it's for like a CMO role. That was quite big. I can't remember the exact amount, but I want to say
Roughly?
Ichioku. Yeah, something like that. I think it was around that.
3 years ago, I had a colleague who closed a deal that was like 70 million Japanese yen, and the cut from that was like 20 million Japanese yen, so like 200K just from one deal.
Is recruitment a lucrative job to have here in Japan, especially as a foreigner?
But I think in terms of the company, we probably get, depends on that candidate's salary, and we get like a portion, maybe starting from like 20% to 50% of that person's salary for like one deal.
Some of the fees that you can earn are the highest in the world, 35% and upwards on a
Right,
fee. The
right.
bases are not the highest,
Right.
but the commission people can make is fantastic.
Okay.
And also lots of career progression.
Right.
So in the bigger companies, you can work your way up to director, MD.
Right. As a new grad, right? You don't really have much skills. You're just like straight out of college. How are you able to secure a good paying job?
As a new grad, just be a recruiter. So just quick explanation. I think if you get a job in Japan in a very Japanese company, you'll do like a rotation and you'll become a generalist trying sales, marketing, accounting, finance. As a recruiter, you just jump straight in. You start doing, it's a sales job, it's consulting and it's sales. So there's a really good way to make a lot of money. It's very lucrative, it's very niche, it's very stressful as well.
Right.
So you have to be able to talk and communicate. Like people skills is very important.
People, I don't even know if that's a word.
Yeah,
That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you
I would say as a new grad, if you had any internship, please put it on your resume. Network, meet a lot of people, because this is a time that you meet really important people who can give you probably lifelong advice.
Right.
As a new grad, we all worry about maybe we'll get rejected because we don't have work experience.
Right.
You have to know there's people out there who's willing to look into your resume and actually see who you are. Every executive and now like maybe CEO level, they all start a new grad. So just be bold.
I'm sure like you've helped a lot of people go through like the interviewing process. Do you have any tips on like resume or interview?
So in Japan, they don't like job hoppers. If you're a job hopper, wind it in and stay at your company, because it shows that maybe you can't commit or maybe you're hard to manage.
Right.
You're not a performer.
Don't underlook the basic questions. You know, they're gonna always ask questions like, why are you trying to change your jobs? Why are you applying to these jobs? I think those are really basic questions, and people just say like, oh, like I can answer that question really easily. But these are actually like the core questions, and people don't work on that too much, so they kind of go into the interviews thinking they can answer it right away. But Japanese companies, you can't quite see if they're satisfied with the answers that you give or not. And it kind of feels like you're kind of talking to a robot sometimes.
Okay.
In my personal experience,
Right.
like more like American companies, it's like you're actually talking to a person, and you're actually really having a conversation. Whereas Japanese companies, it's like formatted all the time.
Right, right.
So you don't know if you're giving the right answer all the time because they all think about different things. But if you do have the template questions down and you're able to kind of answer it in a transparent way, then yeah, I think you could do good in most interviews. I want to say so.
For resume, I'm not sure in Japan, I think GPA is not a must thing for
Right.
your resume, but do put as many internships as you can. If you've done different types of internships, try to maybe tailor it to the job that you're applying. And at the same time, please put on activities that you've done in university that shows that you had the leadership, and also give some numbers, a number of projects, also the number of successful rate, but depends on what you do for your job. If you're a data analysis, you can put as keywords and what's a successful rate, just all the numbers, as many as you can
Okay.
to put on your resume.